The laptop screen cast blue light across Ethan's face as his fingers danced over the keyboard. Empty coffee cups formed a defensive perimeter around his workspace, casualties of the 3-hour coding marathon. No fluff. Just what people need. Everything else, out. He deleted another bloated function, watching the line count drop. The corporate software at DataCorp crawled like molasses through a winter pipe. 17 different approval layers for a simple data query, redundant validation checks that validated the validators. Madness wrapped in enterprise buzzwords. His bare-bones alternative took shape on screen. Clean functions, efficient algorithms, no committee-designed compromises. Why does it take 47 clicks to generate a report? The cursor blinked back at him, patient as a confessor. Ethan stripped away another unnecessary layer, his personal rebellion coded in elegant simplicity. Every deleted line felt like victory against the bureaucratic hydra that consumed his workdays. The clock read 2:47 a.m. His real job would demand his presence in 5 hours, where he'd pretend the company's digital dinosaur made sense. But here, in the honest glow of his laptop, he built something that actually worked. His system hummed with purpose. No corporate fingerprints, just pure function. The fluorescent lights hummed overhead as Ethan connected his laptop to the conference room projector. 3 managers sat across the mahogany table, arms crossed like skeptical judges. This is what I've been working on. His prototype interface materialized on the wall. Clean, minimal, functional. No spinning logos or animated transitions. Just data presented clearly. Run our quarterly report, said Jenkins, the IT director. Let's see what your weekend project can do. Ethan's fingers moved across the keyboard. The report generated in 8 seconds. The room fell silent. That takes our system 40 minutes, whispered Sarah from accounting. Show me the customer segmentation analysis, Jenkins demanded, leaning forward. 6 seconds. The data populated with surgical precision. Jenkins pulled out his phone, frantically tapping. I'm running the same query on our main system. Started it when you began. The wall screen displayed Ethan's results while Jenkins stared at his loading bar, still crawling at 12%. How much would this cost us? A lot less than what you're paying now. License it from me. I'll maintain it. Jenkins's phone finally dinged. His query had completed, with half the functionality Ethan's system delivered. If you're enjoying this story of boardroom blunders and backfired betrayals, don't forget to hit that like button. It really helps the channel grow and makes sure you won't miss the next tale of corporate conflict. The HR office smelled of stale coffee and toner cartridges. Margaret from payroll spread contract papers across her desk like tarot cards, each page stamped with corporate seals. We can structure this as a weekly stipend, she said, pen hovering over the signature line. Easier than setting up a vendor relationship. Ethan scanned the numbers. Not life-changing money, but enough to make his rent payments less stressful. This saves us thousands. As long as you stay on, you'll keep the stipend. And the code stays mine. Margaret nodded, already calculating the budget impact. Their current vendor charged $15,000 monthly for software that crashed twice a week. Ethan's stipend would cost them less than half that. Legal approved the intellectual property clause, she continued, sliding the contract toward him. You retain ownership, we get exclusive usage rights during employment. The pen felt heavier than it should have. One signature would transform his late-night frustration project into steady income. When does this start? Next paycheck. Jenkins wants the system deployed by month end. Ethan signed his name, the ink still wet when Margaret filed the papers away. 3 years later, Greg Martinez swept into the executive boardroom with a laptop bag and predatory focus. The new VP of operations had earned his reputation at 2 previous companies, Both emerged leaner, meaner, and significantly understaffed. He spread payroll reports across the mahogany table, red pen already uncapped. Engineering costs are bloated, Greg announced to the assembled department heads. His finger traced down salary columns, pausing at anomalies. Most of these developers are interchangeable. Market rate, standard benefits, nothing unusual. The pen stopped at Ethan's line item. Why is this guy making more than his peers? Margaret shifted in her chair. That's Ethan Carter. He provides software licensing services to the company. Services? Greg's eyebrows arched. He's an employee, not a contractor. It's a special arrangement. His system replaced our previous vendor solution. Greg circled the stipend amount, calculating the annual cost. 12 weeks at current rate meant serious money. Money that could fund 2 junior developers instead. Nobody's indispensable. The room temperature seemed to drop several degrees. Department heads exchanged glances, recognizing the tone that had preceded previous downsizing campaigns. Greg was already reaching for his phone. Greg cornered Ethan by the coffee machine, still clutching his red-marked payroll sheets. Carter, right? We need to discuss your compensation structure. Ethan poured his coffee without looking up. My licensing agreement. That's getting terminated, effective immediately. We're standardizing all engineer salaries. The coffee machine gurgled. Ethan finally turned, steam rising from his mug. Greg, are you sure you want to do that? Fire me and the license ends. The system reverts to demo mode. Greg's smirk widened. Save the drama. Nobody's irreplaceable. Check the contract. Section 12, subsection 4. Employment termination triggers automatic license revocation. Bluffing won't work? I have seen this game before. Employees holding companies hostage with threats. Ethan sipped his coffee, studying Greg's confident expression. The hallway buzzed with typical office noise. Printers humming, keyboards clicking, phones ringing. Normal sounds that would change dramatically within 48 hours. It's not a threat. It's a contractual clause. Your little side project? Please, how hard could it be to replace? Ask the team that tried to build the original system. 3 vendors, 18 months, $2 million in costs. Greg waved dismissively, already walking away. Pack your desk, Carter. Security will escort you out Friday. The HR office smelled like stale air freshener and corporate desperation. Greg sat across from the nervous HR representative, termination papers spread between them like battle plans. Process it today. I want him gone by 5. Sir, about his licensing agreement? Dead weight. We're moving forward without him. 20 minutes later, Ethan stood in the same office, backpack slung over his shoulder. The HR rep's hands trembled as she reached for the paperwork. We'll need your key card, Ethan. Ethan pulled the plastic card from his wallet, placed it on the desk with deliberate care. His expression remained unchanged, calm, almost amused. Sure, you'll be calling me soon enough. Your final paycheck will include... Keep it. Greg leaned back in his chair, arms crossed. Smart move, Carter. No point fighting the inevitable. Ethan's smile never wavered as he headed for the door. See you around, Greg. The hallway stretched before him, fluorescent lights humming overhead. Behind him, Greg thought he'd cut dead weight. What he really cut was the thread holding the company together. At midnight, the heartbeat stopped. Payroll froze. Invoices jammed. Every system read the same. Demo mode. The IT director burst into Greg's office at 7:30, sweat beading on his forehead. We've got a problem. The entire financial system locked down overnight. Greg barely looked up from his coffee. Define locked down. We can see data, but we can't use it. No printing, no exporting. It's a brick. The phone rang, then another. Within minutes, Greg's assistant fielded calls from accounting, payroll, and 3 department heads. Sir, payroll froze mid-cycle. Half the staff got zeroed checks. Greg's coffee mug hit the desk. What? Invoices jammed before they printed. Even copy-paste is disabled. Everything's read-only. The IT director pulled up a screen on his laptop. Red text blazed across the interface. Demo mode. Contact license holder for activation. This is Carter's system. The one you... I know whose system it is. Greg stared at the screen, watching thousands of transactions suspended in digital amber. Accessible but untouchable, like looking at money through bulletproof glass. How long until we can restore from backup? That's the thing, sir. There is no backup. This was our primary system. The boardroom buzzed like a hornet's nest disturbed. Executives flitted between seats, their whispers sharp and desperate. Screens projected system status updates, each more damning than the last. Greg sat at the head of the table, jaw clenched. He eyed Richardson, who seemed smaller than his usual presence, dwarfed by the chaos. What's the delay, Richardson? Richardson spread his hands in a gesture of defeat. It's not a glitch, sir. The system's license server demands Ethan's authentication key. Without it, we're cut off. An uncomfortable shiver ran through the room. Greg leaned forward, eyes narrowed. Then strip it out. Rewrite it. Richardson's sigh was audible above the murmuring panic. That's impossible. You're talking about years of work. Redeveloped from scratch. Besides, it'd be illegal. Ethan owns the code. Silence engulfed the boardroom, thicker than the tension. They thought it was a glitch. Then IT dropped the truth. Without Ethan's key, they had no system. Greg's lips tightened, the reality dawning. The simplicity of wielding a chainsaw had met its match. His grand plan for savings reduced to this: a company frozen in its tracks. The silence stretched, waiting for direction. But for the first time, Greg had none to offer. The cabin sat tucked between pine trees, morning mist rolling off the lake like whispers. Ethan stretched his legs on the wooden porch, steam rising from his coffee mug. His phone buzzed against the weathered table. 17 missed calls, 43 unread emails. He didn't reach for it. A loon called across the water, its voice cutting through the silence. Ethan smiled, the first genuine one in months. The corporate world felt like a fever dream from here. All deadlines and meetings and Greg's cost-cutting theatrics reduced to background noise. His laptop remained closed on the kitchen counter. No code to debug, no systems to monitor, no fires to extinguish. Just the rhythm of waves lapping against the dock and birds chattering in the canopy above. The phone buzzed again. Richardson's name flashed across the screen. Ethan took another sip of coffee and watched a hawk circle overhead. For the first time in years, Ethan didn't check emails. He sat on a porch, coffee in hand, while the company that cast him aside burned. The hawk dove toward the water, emerged with something silver writhing in its talons. Nature had its own rules about who survived and who didn't. While the boardroom at DataCorp boiled over with panic, Ethan was in no hurry. He'd ignored their calls for weeks, enjoying his first real vacation in years. When he finally joined their emergency Zoom meeting, it wasn't from an office. The screen split revealed chaos on one side, serenity on the other. Ethan reclined under a beach umbrella, condensation beating on his mojito glass. His sunglasses reflected turquoise water, while the boardroom churned with tension. Ethan, thank you for joining. We need to discuss reinstating the license. You're holding us hostage, Carter. This is extortion. Greg's face had turned crimson, veins bulging at his temples. Behind him, executives shifted uncomfortably in their chairs. No, Greg. This is business. You terminated the license when you terminated me. All I'm doing is offering new terms. Ethan adjusted his position, the umbrella casting cool shadows across his relaxed frame. He lifted his tablet with one hand, drink in the other. Exclusive license, $25,000 per month, billed quarterly. Non-exclusive, $12,500. After 1 year, exclusivity expires and I'm free to license it to your competitors. Non-payment voids access immediately. The CEO's jaw dropped. His eyes snapped to Greg like a predator spotting wounded prey. You fired him? Without checking with anyone? You didn't even ask what the stipend was for? Greg's mouth opened and closed. His earlier confidence crumbled into stammering fragments. The cost reduction. Nobody mentioned. Mentioned what? That he built the entire backbone of our operations? Ethan remained silent, watching the corporate sharks turn on each other. A seagull landed near his chair, tilting its head curiously at the distant shouting from his laptop speakers. The stipend was $800 a week, Greg mumbled. I thought $800 versus $25,000. The CEO's voice could have frozen the ocean. Outstanding work, Greg. Truly visionary leadership. In that moment, the board saw the truth. Greg hadn't saved them money. He'd gambled their future and lost. The boardroom erupted the moment Ethan disconnected. Voices overlapped in a cacophony of blame and desperation. $25,000 a month? That's highway robbery. Robbery. We're hemorrhaging $50,000 a day and lost productivity. The CFO slammed financial reports on the table. Red numbers bled across every page like open wounds. Our clients are jumping ship. 3 canceled contracts yesterday alone. Then we fight this legally. Sue him for breach of contract. With what grounds? He fulfilled every obligation. We terminated him. The board chair rubbed her temples, studying the wreckage of Greg's cost-cutting initiative. $800 weekly, pocket change compared to their current crisis. Legal battles take months. We have days before creditors start calling. If competitors license it, we're finished. Pay him. The room fell silent. Greg stared at his hands, career crumbling faster than the company's operations. The stipend we cut to save costs now looked like a bargain, the CFO muttered. They had no leverage. The company bled money by the hour. Every moment of debate cost them more than Ethan's original fee. Motion to approve emergency funding, the board chair announced. All in favor of paying Ethan's terms? Hands rose reluctantly around the table. Greg pushed back from the table, shoulders sagging under the weight of collective glare. Well, that's been handled. I'll be in my office. Not so fast. The CEO's voice cut through the air like a blade. We still need to discuss you. Greg's head snapped up. Me? Yes, you're responsible for this fiasco. Heat crept up Greg's neck. I did what I was told. Cut costs. Cut costs? Is that what you think you did? The CEO leaned forward, eyes blazing. You turned an $800 weekly expense into a $25,000 monthly obligation. You cost us 3 major clients and nearly destroyed our operations. The CFO's calculator clicked furiously. Your savings will cost us over $1 million this year alone. I was following directive. You were supposed to analyze expenses, not swing a machete blindfolded. The board chair's voice dripped contempt. Pack your office. Greg's mouth opened and closed like a landed fish. You can't. Security will escort you out within the hour. As Greg stumbled toward the door, the CEO's voice followed him with surgical precision. Congratulations, Greg. You actually saved us some money. The rented office smelled of fresh paint and possibility. 3 monitors hummed on makeshift desks, cables snaking across concrete floors. Ethan surveyed his kingdom, all 600 square feet of it. While his old company scrambled, Ethan built. A team, a vision, a powerhouse. Sarah, his first hire, looked up from her screen. The authentication module's running clean, no memory leaks. Good. Ethan pulled up a chair. Marcus, how's the API gateway? The young developer grinned. Blazing fast. I stripped out everything we don't need. Perfect. Ethan stood, hands clasped behind his back. Listen up, everyone. We're not here to build the next enterprise monster. We're here to build tools that work. He pointed at the whiteboard covered in clean, simple diagrams. Keep it lean. Keep it clean. No bloat. We're not building another SAP monster. Laughter rippled through the small space. DataCorp pays us $25,000 a month because their old system was garbage. Every company out there is drowning in the same garbage. We're going to give them life preservers. Sarah cracked her knuckles. One elegant solution at a time. Exactly. The convention center buzzed with the energy of 1,000 startups and enterprise giants. Ethan's booth sat in prime real estate, a sleek black display with 3 screens running synchronized demos. A year later, the exclusive ended. By then, Ethan's system wasn't just better, it was unstoppable. A crowd gathered as the demo looped on the center screen. Fast, modular, no bloat. The system that adapts to you. The CEO of Microdyne pushed through the crowd, eyeing the real-time data flowing across the interface. This handles manufacturing and logistics? Everything you see here, Sarah gestured to the modules. Payroll, inventory, customer management. Pick what you need, leave what you don't. A woman in a sharp suit stepped forward. I'm from TechFlow Industries. DataCorp's been bleeding clients to smaller firms running your system. Ethan emerged from behind the display, tablet in hand. Funny how that works. We want in. Exclusive licensing deal. No exclusives. Ethan's smile was polite but firm. Those days are over. Standard licensing only. The Microdyne CEO leaned closer. What's your capacity for custom modules? Depends how much you want to pay. Both executives reached for their business cards simultaneously. The DataCorp boardroom felt smaller these days. Half the chairs sat empty after the latest round of layoffs. The CEO stared at the trade show footage on his laptop screen. Ethan's booth packed with prospects, their former employees shaking hands with competitors. Greg thought he was cutting costs. Instead, he cut loose the man holding their future. Now he sells it to everyone else. Microdyne just signed with him, the CFO reported, voice flat. That's 3 of our biggest accounts this quarter. The board chair rubbed his temples. How many companies are running his system now? 47 and counting. The CEO clicked through screenshots of glowing reviews on industry forums. Faster than SAP. Cleaner than Oracle. A fraction of the cost. We're hemorrhaging clients to a system we once owned for $800 a week. The interim vice president of operations cleared his throat. Maybe we could reach out, see if he'd consider. He won't take our calls. The CEO closed the laptop. We had our chance. We chose Greg's chainsaw over common sense. Silence stretched across the table. Through the windows, the city hummed with business they could no longer compete for. The man they'd fired now sold their destruction, one license at a time. And that's how it all played out. Another reminder that in the corporate world, arrogance often comes before the fall. If you enjoyed this story, don't forget to like, subscribe, and ring the bell so you'll be here for the next conflict.